Okay, barbell hip thrust. Now, this is the number one exercise to essentially grow the glute maximus, grow that booty. Also works a little bit the hamstrings as well as the glute medius. The reason why this is such a great exercise is because the load is going directly onto the glute maximus, whereas in a squat, the load is more vertical and you're essentially working out the legs when you're doing a squat. Whereas hip thrust, that's where you're really targeting the glute. The way you want to set up this exercise, the equipment that you'll need, barbell with weights if you're at the gym, dumbbell if you prefer, or if you're working from home, or a backpack if you're working out at home as well. The surface that you're looking for in terms of height, something that will match your bottom of the knee / top of the tibia. Body will essentially be horizontal when you're performing the exercise. You don't want this to be too high. If it's too high, then your body will be going diagonally down. If it's too low, then your pelvis will be diagonally going up. We want to avoid that if you can. Put the bench or your surface, if you're working out from home, maybe your bed or a really firm couch, put this against really firm surface. I got it against the wall so it won't move. I also got the glute band if you want to make it harder. I'll talk about that later in the exercise. So the way you want to set up, just try out a couple without the weight, just to get the setup correct. So you want your feet to be flaring out just a little bit. So let's just say if it's at 45 degrees, that's where you feel the glutes a little bit more, then do that. If it's 20 degrees out and you feel the glutes more doing that, do that. So it's always what works best for you. Feet to be positioned in a way where your knees aren't going over. You essentially want them to be either 90 degrees or slightly out. The more slight out that you get, the more you start to target your glutes if you're feeling it too much in your hamstrings. Alright, so let's just pretend I'm going to do this without the weights attached. Okay, let's go straight up to the bench. Really important, you want your scapulars, you want the back to be essentially right up and on to and resting against your bench. Don't really want it to be positioned at the top. See here, let's just pretend I'm doing the movement. You don't want it to be like this. You want to be right on the bench. So your lower scapulars against, put my feet positioned out into a slightly greater than 90 degree angle. You want your barbell to be right at the base of your hips. So a really good rule of thumb is having your hands out as far as possible, but against the end grain of the barbell itself. So you can always essentially move it around to make it as comfortable as possible, as well as use a pad against the hips to make sure you aren't like getting any bruises or it isn't too hard. So shift this up into position. Notice my back is horizontal. I'm not going too far up. My hips aren't too far down. Arms out as far as possible. And what we want to focus here on this exercise, essentially you want your head to be looking straight forward. You don't want to be looking up. If it's looking up, then your bottom of your spine is going to curve a little bit and it's going to cause a little bit of lower back pain. So looking forward, not too far tucked in, but just looking forward. You don't have to do a really aggressive chin tuck. I want you to bring it up really fast, and I want your glutes to be essentially pinching each other as though you've got like a coin or a pen in between your glutes and you're just trying to hold it up together. I want you to go really slow on the way down, so maybe 3 seconds to go downwards. And I want you to avoid having the actual weights or the bar hit the ground. We want there to be constant tension throughout all of your reps. So let's just say we're doing 12 reps. I want you to be going down 3, up 1, down 3, up 1. Always looking forward and really focusing on that glute squeeze. So, example. So again, shoulders are up, back onto on the bench. I'm looking forward. The barbell itself is just forward of my hips in a really comfortable position for me, and this is quite horizontal. Feet are slightly flared out, and I'm going down 1, 2, 3, up,
And what I want you to notice here is I'm not overarching, but I'm making sure my glutes are squeezed so fucking tight that it looks like I'm overarching. So really focus on keeping a really tight abdominal core as you're squeezing your glutes, and that's going to prevent you from like overextending the back. So tight core, looking forward, arms out. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1.
If the exercise is too easy, essentially what you want to be doing is loading up on a little bit more weight. You can also pop on a glute band. And what you want to make sure is that your knees aren't flaring inwards. You're keeping them constantly tensioned out.
And that's just going to work your abductors and glute medius
a little bit more as you're doing the exercise. If the exercise is too hard, I'll get you to just essentially do it body weight itself, or maybe just the bar to start out with. Oh, okay, so if the exercise is too easy itself, what I'll get you to do, I'll get you to add a 3-second pause at the very top of your lift. So I'll do an example. 1, 2, 3, 1. And then hold for 3 seconds. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Hold for 3 seconds. 2, 3. And always keeping that tension down, not letting this hit the ground. That's going to make it a lot harder for you. To make the exercise more comfortable, so let's just say in your gym, you no doubt you're going to have like access to the barbell pads. But if you're going old school, like myself, you can always use the an extra yoga mat. I've got a really thick yoga mat here that I use just to add a little bit of extra weight onto the actual bar. 1, 2, 3. So working out from home, you can always use the dumbbell itself as well. Essentially, really exact same process. Holding it here. 1, 2, 3. 1. What can be easier when using dumbbells is put your shoulders up actually on the bench. Because I know it's a bit of a different weight. Now, for those working at home who don't have access to the barbell set or don't have access to a dumbbell, I've got a bag here full of like books, filled up water bottle as well. It's just going to be whatever you can make do with. And when it comes to this exercise, so same position as well. You just move shit around until it's comfortable. 1, 2, 3. Up. As horizontal as possible. Squeezing that glute as hard as possible to get that overarching look. Looking straight forward. 1, 2, 3. Up. There we go. Beautiful. That's the barbell hip thrust. So the reason why this is so effective, again, the weight is going directly down in a vertical plane onto the actual glute. Whereas if you're doing a squat itself, the actual plane is moving through the quads. Shoot through any questions you have in the free Facebook group, or shoot me a DM on the app. So, cheers guys. I'm out of breath and I didn't even have any weights on the barbell.